And welcome back to the UIA Trusted Partners Podcast. On today's very special episode, I have Kylee O'Brien, Regional Director of Agencies in Eastern Nebraska with Farmers Mutual. Kylee, how are you today?
Good. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
The excitement is all on this side, I feel like, because I am so happy to finally have an insurance company come on and be a part of our show.
Yeah.
Because you obviously are one of our trusted partners.
Yes. We were really excited to do this and to be able to join the podcast, and I'm excited to be here.
And a little off air, we were talking before the show, and you're even a listener of the podcast, which Thank you for that. And it's super important that we spread the love with all these small businesses. But it's very cool to know that even Farmers Mutual listens from time to time.
Yes, we love it. We are, we're a Nebraska insurance carrier. We're part of the same community, and I love listening and learning about interesting things, different parts of the communities, ways that we can serve each other. So yeah, it's really cool to be here.
I appreciate that so much. Now, we're going to kind of ease right into things here. And for the listeners at home, how did you get into this line of work with Farmers Mutual?
So I started in insurance when I was still a senior in college. So it was my first job interview that I landed with Farmers Insurance Group. And I was training agents on new and experienced agents on sales, customer service, policy language, Farmers Insurance Group products, and really general insurance concepts. And I realized that I loved insurance and I wanted to build a career. Instead of the agency side, it was a great learning ground. I loved what I did. I learned a lot about sales, but I wanted to be an underwriter more than anything. And so I interviewed at Farmers Mutual. It'll be 15 years ago in October.
Wow, congratulations.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited. So yeah, I interviewed there, got the job, and I worked up from underwriter to manager to now the regional director.
Yeah, so that is fantastic. I love that was kind of just a really natural progression for you as well. And happy that you're our rep. We get to talk to you every so often, which is always really nice to have that little time. And of course, I always love that Farmers Mutual's helping us with continuing education, different updates that you guys provide, different little seminars for us to go to. It's all very nice and very well accommodated by you guys.
Yes. Yeah. We really believe in working with our agents to help educate clients and write new business, retain good business, all of that. So we are partners to help out our policyholders.
I love that. And it shows. It's genuinely stated there, and it definitely shows. Now, of course, on the insurance side of things, in my world, we get asked all the time, what makes you different? And I am kind of curious, in your opinion and your thoughts here, what makes Farmers Mutual different from other insurance carriers?
I love this question. Farmers Mutual was formed in 1891 by 22 farmers. In our 133-year history, we have remained true to our Nebraska roots. We are a Midwest carrier, so we write coverages in like homeowners and auto coverages, farm coverages in Nebraska, South Dakota, and North Dakota. Our home office has always been in downtown Lincoln since the very beginning. And we are based in the communities that we serve. We don't have large call centers in faraway states. We are part of the communities that we serve. So we hire local home office and claims staff that are members of the communities that they serve. And this really allows us to develop strong relationships with our agents, policyholders, and other members of the community.
Absolutely. And just from my optics on this, it's fantastic to have a number of an underwriter that I can call for a quick question, see, hey, does this fit into your appetite? And it's very important, like you said, for that relationship piece.
Yes.
I won't mention them specifically on the air today, but I do work with a couple of them, quite often and quite regularly. And it's nice to have that open communication. And we get feedback all the time from customers who have Farmers Mutual policies that the claims process, if they have to file a claim, is easy. And it's very easy to work with. So it's always great to hear from that side of things.
Yes. Yeah. We believe insurance is a relationship business.
Absolutely.
For our agents, we want you to have direct line to underwriters that you can call with questions and figure out, is this the best policy for this individual, or how can I write it so it's got the best coverages? And then on the claims side, we really pride ourselves on being there for our policyholders. That's where we set ourselves apart. And, smaller communities that we serve, everybody knows who their Farmers Mutual adjuster is.
Absolutely.
They're out at coffee. They know that they can trust in them. There's that relationship there. And what those relationships allow is for sort of a shorthand relationship. We know and trust each other. So the hard work is done. Now we can look at serving each other and helping each other.
Yep. And then that puts all the other things at ease, and just knowing that you're taken care of is a big part of that.
Yes.
Now, some of the biggest things that are happening in today's market, obviously every industry's got their challenges. A lot of different businesses have different challenges, we'll call them that way. I am curious, though, what is the biggest challenge that Farmers Mutual is facing in today's market? And then kind of how are you adapting for your clients here?
Yeah. So I think Farmers Mutual is facing many of the same challenges as other insurance companies. Over the last few years, we are seeing more weather-related losses, higher claims payments due to numerous national and global factors, and of course, everyone listening knows this, increased premiums.
Yep.
So the biggest challenge for Farmers Mutual has been adapting to these changes. We are seeing insurance carriers restrict the number of policies that they're writing for new business, and restrict the types of policies, the type of policyholder that they will write. We're also seeing insurance carriers increase rate and decrease coverages. And that's across the board. This is why we feel that independent agencies like United Insurance Agencies is so important. People need knowledgeable and experienced insurance professionals to help them navigate their choices, because there is so much change going on right now. There's a lot to keep track of. There's a lot of options, and every carrier is just a little bit different.
Just a little bit different. No, I really appreciate that little mention there for us. I mean, we do take pride in that as well, finding the correct fit for our clients. And I think that's what also helps make Farmers Mutual one of the more trusted partners in our group, because, again, it's so open and honest with us and just transparent that we're so comfortable with business there. And one of the best parts, again, just goes back to the fact I can call an underwriter, ask them if this fits into their appetite. And if they go, no, it doesn't, I'm not going to put it there.
Yeah.
That's just part of that relationship that, we're fortunate and lucky enough to see on our side.
Yes. We have our underwriters we take so much pride in their professionalism and their training. And we have agents that will call our underwriters, hey, this isn't even your client, but what do I do? How does this work? What are my options? And so we value that relationship and that trust, and we try and live and breathe that every day. So.
And it shows. You have an absolutely fantastic team behind you guys, and that's not even including the IT team. We'll give a shout out to the IT guys. You guys have actually done some recent changes to the website even that I've noticed that, things are moving smooth. Those guys do a great job of keeping that up to date too.
Oh my gosh, our IT folks, big shout out to them. Even
Absolutely.
During the pandemic, the amount of hours that they put in and the magic that they work. I'm glad you said that, because a lot of people don't think about it, but that is such a vital piece of how we operate. So.
Yeah, and I mean, hey, that frustrating website that you tried to get a quote from, remember how frustrating that was? Yeah, you don't run into too much with that with Farmers Mutual.
No.
So
No.
I do love that, and it's also, again, just a thing I get to appreciate on a daily basis.
Yes.
Now, you kind of answered a little bit how you were navigating through those challenges for clients there. Was there any other kind of things that you guys are pivoting for, maybe planning for as the year progresses or ends out here? I should say wraps up here, because we're getting already towards the end of the year. Can you believe it?
It's already the fall.
Blinked.
Yeah. It's crazy how fast this year is going.
It really is.
We'll continue to work with our agents and help them navigate some of the changes that we've made and help their policyholders navigate. Insurance is so complex that we really believe that working with our independent agents and our independent agency force is the best way to navigate these changes, is through that partnership. So as a company, early on last year, we made coverage changes, underwriting changes, and even increased rates on auto, home, and farm lines of business. And we were one of the first to implement those changes. We saw early on that we needed to make those types of changes to be able to continue and be a strong carrier in the state of Nebraska and South Dakota and North Dakota. So we made a lot of those big changes early on. And so right now we're just focused on, gaining new business and retaining the good business that we have and working with our agencies to educate consumers on how to navigate what's going on. So,
which you guys have made our life easy by being transparent with what you guys are doing and forthright with, hey, here's what we're going to do, and here's a reasonable amount of time that we're going to implement it. Talk to your people.
Yes.
Which, again, part of that is our job anyway, of education, and I feel like that's become more of our job actually in today's world. But yeah, it's super easy when Farmers Mutual provides us with a lot of the help for that with, hey, we're doing this, we have X, Y, Z coming up, we're going to plan this out, here's the dates for it. When you're talking to clients, if they're looking to start past this, there's no, they're going to have the thing that's in place.
Yes.
Which is nice, and it's transparent.
Yes. And the other thing that we're doing to plug our marketing folks, we're on social media.
Absolutely.
We've really kind of amped that up the last 4 or 5 years. And for those of you that don't follow us, we have an Instagram, a Facebook, and YouTube. And on all of those social media accounts, we post helpful articles and guides, not just for agents, but for the everyday consumer. Things like how to maintain your home in the winter, or how to maintain a safe farm operation, or things to do after a car accident. So we really try and add value in other ways, other than just strictly writing your homeowners and your auto insurance. We try and add value other ways as well.
Which I think is why you guys have such a fantastic reputation that you do. And again, I think it just speaks to the Midwest feel. It's just, we're here to help each other. We're all lending a hand. Yes, we are a business. Yes, this is the main focus of the business. We'll still give you a hand.
Yes.
Which I love that.
Yes.
Now, big changes in the industry, obviously, that we're going to see stay around. Some examples of that are, wind and hail deductibles, premiums going up, some certain exclusions as well. I'm sure a lot of listeners at home are maybe a little curious about that. What's really sticking around, what might change. Obviously, we don't have a crystal ball. We can't see 10 miles into the future. But, it is one of those that with the correct data, you guys do plan accordingly.
Yes. Yeah. No, that's a great question. So, and I have just an interesting fact that I want to share, because I don't think people recognize. It feels like insurance rates are all of a sudden going up.
Right.
And there's a few factors that contributed to that. And what you're feeling is actually honest truth. So fun fact, from 1900 to 2023, 9 out of the 10 most costliest storms occurred in the United States. Out of those, 4 occurred in the last 3 years. And of those, so 3 out of the 4 costliest storms in a 123-year history occurred last year in 2023.
Ouch.
So, so it feels like it's a recent phenomenon, and it is. So, and for those of you listening, I said 9 out of the 10 costliest storms occurred in the United States. That oddball storm was the Andreas storm in Germany.
Yeah.
But otherwise, it's kind of a phenomenon for the United States. So
that puts things into perspective, of course. And it is one of those that I think for a good number of years, and I think people have kind of forgotten this with all these recent changes because they're caught up in the changes, that for a good number of years, premiums and your deductibles probably weren't where they should have been anyway. And a lot of different companies, not just Farmers Mutual, a lot of different companies across the board, I would say that's probably a fair statement to it. So now it's not necessarily a catch-up game, but it is one of those that, hey, we have to make the changes. There has to be a change.
Yes. Yeah. And even the auto insurance during the pandemic, people weren't driving.
Yeah.
And a lot of insurance carriers, took a premium decrease. There was a discounted rate for a year. Some companies, I think, gave you money back, that type of stuff. So that was what was needed during the pandemic.
Sure.
Nobody was driving. People needed that break because the world was crazy, right?
Yeah.
And so then we kind of fell behind, and now we're playing catch up. And so, and that's not just Farmers Mutual. That is
everybody.
That is everybody.
Yeah.
So we're reckoning with that on the auto side with auto premiums, and then on the home premiums, we're just seeing severe storms get worse.
Yeah.
It's creating more wind, more hailstorms than ever before.
I believe we're shifted back into Tornado Alley now. I was reading something on the National Weather Service that we're due to something. I'm not a meteorologist. I may have talked on the radio, but I was not one.
Yeah.
Now, we've somehow shifted back into Tornado Alley again, which is what they're saying is why we're seeing increased hail, increased tornado activity.
Yes.
Ugh.
Yes. Yeah, we're lucky here in the Midwest. It's a factor from the warm air from the Gulf and the cold air from the Rockies. They kind of mix in the middle and
they hate it.
and go us, because then we get tornadoes and windstorms. So
and then we're stuck left picking up the pieces.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. And the thing with more storms means more damage to people's homes, more damage
claims
to people's cars, and more claims. So and add to that the fact that when there's a catastrophic event impacting a whole community, the demand increases, supply decreases, and then costs go up.
Yep.
So catastrophic storms, severe storms, those are expensive types of events for insurance companies, for policyholders and for insurance companies. So all of that's contributing to higher claims costs and ultimately higher premiums.
Yeah, and some part of the education that I talk to people about is, just because your neighbor's roof got beat up and torn up, and that doesn't necessarily mean yours is. I feel like a lot of people have what I call claim envy.
Yeah.
My neighbor got a new roof. I want a new roof.
Yeah.
It's like, well, that's not necessarily what your insurance is for. And I think a lot of that now, on the insurance agent side of things has become educational, because I think for a lot of years it kind of was looked like that.
Yes.
And it was never really clarified to people. So now I think we are playing catch up on our side of things, clarifying that, no, this is not a maintenance policy, quote unquote. I hate using that term.
Yes.
But, it's, if your roof is significantly damaged, yes, absolutely, get yourself a new roof.
Yes.
If your roof has a couple of little hail dings on a 2022 roof.
Yeah. And it's still functional.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, is that really worth filing a claim now?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that goes, even further into that, on the company side of things that I work with, claims are getting tighter to work with. I'll put it that way. Mm-hmm. So certain companies are just tightening the belt, and it's not one of those that I can necessarily blame them, and I can't scold people for filing a claim either.
Yes.
So, we're in an interesting world for insurance right now.
It is. There's an analogy that I like, and I don't know that people necessarily understand how insurance works, at least from our perspective.
Yeah.
So insurance is designed to pull funds from the greater group to pay for catastrophic losses for a few. So we want to pool money. That's what insurance companies do. Everybody contributes to the pot. Mm-hmm. And then when there's a personal catastrophic loss, a few can pull from that pot to be put back to their original state before the accident occurred, before the storm occurred. Well, what has happened over time is that more and more people are pulling funds from the pool. And so insurance companies need to collect more money to replenish it. So instead of using the funds to pay for a few high dollar losses, a lot of people are pulling funds to pay for small things. And a few are still pulling to pay for bigger things. But insurance companies, what has happened over time is that we can spend money faster than we're pulling it in.
Right.
And ultimately that deplenishes the pot. So if everyone's pulling from the pot for little things here and there, then no one gets to benefit from the funds because everyone's used the pot. So the primary function of insurance is to help the contributors, the people, the policyholders contributing to that pot in the event of a catastrophic loss, to put them back to their original state. So we're trying to navigate that expectation where I call it neighboritis. It's the same thing. Hey, my neighbor got a new roof. I think I need a new roof too. Or, hey, there's a scratch on my window. I need a new window. We're trying to change that consumer expectation where we are there for the personal catastrophic events, the things that you can't afford to pay out of pocket.
Yeah.
So it's going to take time to get us there, and it took us a long time to create that expectation. When insurance first started, we only provided actual cash value on homes. So whatever that value of the home is minus depreciation. Well, 50 years ago, we started offering replacement cost on homes. And then that's where we found that we're spending so much money out the door that it's hard to maintain enough money to be profitable and stay in business.
Which makes sense.
Yep.
Yep, so, especially from a business output, you have to look at the dollar sign.
Yes.
No matter what. I mean, that's why businesses exist.
Yes.
So, no, it is nice to hear kind of a good explanation from a company that's extremely reputable, extremely honest. So I'm really happy to kind of get that explanation for the listeners out there.
Yeah.
I think it's very important to have that conversation.
Yes. Yeah, we're trying to charge enough premium, a reasonable amount, so that consumers can afford it.
Right.
And they want to have insurance with us, but enough to pay for the damages and pay for what's rightfully owed. So there's a balancing act, and right now with all of the recent storms and the higher claims costs, we're all navigating that together. Every insurance company is trying to figure out what's the best way forward.
What's the right method going forward, and it's different across the board right now. I can speak from my side of things that I can think of 5 companies on the top of my head right now that everybody has a different deductible system or a different requirement or a different exclusion on there. So, I mean, everybody's trying to feel it out their way, which is okay.
Yes.
Let's find a path out of, the one of, however many companies are existent in the world now.
Yes.
But, let's find a path that works mutually for everybody. I'm on board with that.
Yes.
Now, a lot of companies I notice are going to percentage wind and hail deductibles. That seems to be kind of a commonality now.
Yes.
That to me makes a bit more sense. I mean, as much as people, and I know listeners just rolled their eyes at me and said, you don't get it, you don't own a home. I get it. Yeah. I grew up in the carpentry and construction business. I get it.
Yeah.
But, realistically, if you think about it, how much does it cost to put on a roof?
Yeah.
And you're paying $1,000 on a deductible. There's math that isn't mathing right there.
Yes. Yeah, roofs have gotten more and more expensive.
Labor on roofs is so much more. And the cost for those materials is so much more. It's insane.
Yes.
So, I think, and again, I allude back to when I was doing it with my dad back in the day. And, I talked with him last night. He's like, I just don't know how people do it today. Just, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
And again, this is a small town world that I grew up in. I get it. But, it's so different.
Yeah.
And everything's just so expensive now.
Yes. Yeah. And I think the percent wind and hail deductibles are probably here to stay.
I think so too. I think that's kind of where people are going to go. I have a couple of companies I think right now that are a minimum like 5,000 or, 2,500 is the bare minimum you can go. Which again, that conversation for people, your $1,000 deductibles are gone. Yes. I hate to break it to you, but they're gone.
Yes, well, and to clarify too, at least for Farmers Mutual, our percent deductible is strictly for the wind and hail. So you can have a separate base deductible on the home for things like a fire loss or sewer backup. That's a separate deductible, but it's the wind and the hail that it's our biggest loss. Yes, yeah, and you can have a wind event that's hurts an entire community. So,
and then again, for the listeners, just kind of put this into perspective. Let's say we used that tornado earlier this year as an example. Let's say in that instance that Farmers Mutual had 10 policies in that neighborhood. That's 10 policies to pay out. Thinking about that just from a perspective to rebuild a house, rebuild a roof, et cetera, insert the problem here. That's 10 policies they now have to do that on. So just to kind of allude that for the listeners to keep in mind of how costly your home is. Now it's gone. Think about what a company has to go through per incident that's happening in.
Yes.
So not to take the side of the big guys here, but there is justification for what we're seeing.
Yes.
It's not just, we felt like raising it.
Yes, yeah.
Which I think a lot of people felt like at first, which is not the case.
Yes, yeah. And to be clear on that too, insurance is so regulated. There's the State Department of Insurance that looks at when an insurance company wants to increase rates, they have to justify it.
And they have to approve it.
And they have to prove that it's justifiable, that it's reasonable. And so there's a lot of oversight to make sure that we are, at the end of the day, serving the community and that we're doing right by the policyholders. And so we work very closely with our Department of Insurance, and we have a good relationship with them. And they're looking out for the policyholders, and we are too. So there should be a vote of confidence when you look at how many people are in that room making those decisions, trying to do what's right for the company and for the policyholders.
Absolutely. And again, tough decisions in business get made.
Yes.
Feelings in business, while are relevant, sometimes in the hard decisions, you have to set those aside.
Yes.
Now, with that, We have norms in existence. I hate rules because rules are meant to be broken, and I am a rule breaker.
Oh,
so
no.
yeah, I was that kid in school. I'm sorry to break it to you. I was the rule breaker. I'm not in my insurance crew. I'll put it that way. I'm very good with norms because I loved when I got presented with norms rather than rules.
Yes.
Like, I can't think of a clever way to twist that. And so I started making like cheers jokes instead. I was like, that's a norm. So new norms are coming about, and I'm curious to what norms we might potentially see implemented. We already kind of alluded to the percentage wind and hail deductible on this one. Or is there any others that kind of come to mind for you that listeners can expect to be kind of a new normal?
Gosh, that's a good question. You know, we're seeing elevated premiums, and I think that's a norm. I don't know if premiums
I don't know if they can
come back down. Yeah. I mean, it's all going to depend on the conditions of the market. You know, insurance premiums are reflective of the cost of goods and services in the broader market because we pay for labor and materials on a home. We pay to fix a car with that bumper and that windshield, or we pay for those medical bills if you break your wrist in a car accident, or you fall down the stairs at your friend's barbecue and break your ankle. Yeah. We're reflective of all of those costs because we have to charge enough premium to be able to pay claims at the end of the day. And so we're a product of the marketplace that we work in and that we serve. And so we'll see what happens, but I don't know if insurance premiums will go back down. Yeah. You may see it on an individual policyholder level, sure. But as a general kind of market, I don't know if that will go back down.
Yeah, I think I was seeing somewhere, I forget which report I was getting shown by one of the awesome ladies here in the office here, but it was saying like the national or like Nebraska average for a home policy premium is going to be roughly around $5,000.
I'd heard that too. Yes.
Which sounds baffling, and I know people just lit their hair on fire when I said that. But I mean, that should put things maybe into perspective for a lot of people. Now, that's not everybody. Again, individual policyholders will have your individual premiums, I promise you. It's rated on you, not just a blanket.
Yes.
But generally speaking, they said the average might be close to that $5,000, which, again, if you think about it, we're, like you had alluded to, we're playing a little bit of catch up here. We're also, back into Tornado Alley. Things are expensive. Yes. It makes sense. As much as I hate to say it, I'm sorry, but it makes sense.
Yeah, what we're seeing is, and you have certain communities in Nebraska where the homeowner has had, 2 or 3 new roofs in a 5-year period because they had enough storm activity in that community. And so, it's expensive to buy roofs and to replace roofs. And so a lot of this is a product of, unfortunately, Mother Nature. And, the market, the cost of labors and materials. So, we just need Mother Nature to play by the insurance company's rule book.
If she would just at least, hey, just at least open up the conversation a little bit.
Right? Come to the table.
Oh, yeah, she's not even returning the calls at this point.
No.
But, another factor that kind of plays into some of these things that we unfortunately run into. This is not a uncommon thing. If you feel like this is, I'm talking about you specifically, you're not alone, I promise. But I want to know from your perspective on this, because obviously I deal with things like this. Connie's dealt with things like this, and so on and so on. But what have unreliable or aggressive contractors and pricing in that aspect? We'll kind of allude to maybe influxed pricing or things of that nature. How has that been impacting our industry, and what can we do to help alleviate that? Because I think this isn't a Farmers Mutual question. This is how can we, the consumers of the product, help offset some of this?
Yeah, that's a great question, because there's, I alluded to inflation, the cost of goods and services driving insurance premiums, but aggressive providers can also contribute to that. If you have people who are unscrupulous or dishonest, that can drive up claims costs. And so my best advice is to work with reputable providers, whether that's a roofer or a contractor or a chiropractor, whatever that provider does. work with somebody that's reputable. Get referrals. Go with somebody that you're familiar with that are members of the community. I cannot stress that enough. People that you know, people that are in your community is just a really great way to start off and start building that relationship with the provider if you don't already have one. So, and if you're not sure, ask your insurance agent.
It's a great person to ask.
Yes, yeah. There's, your insurance agents are, part of what they do is network and refer. And that's how they gain business, and that's how they keep good clients, and they build themselves as a trusted member of the community. So ask your agent.
I like to tell people that try to think of us as your first line. Like, hey, you call us if something happens, we're going to talk to you about it first. All right, you have some damage. I've got a guy. Let's send CSF Exteriors out there. Have him go take a look. He does that for free. He'll talk to you and work with you. If it's enough to file a claim, we'll go from that point. And 9 times out of 10, that is the end of that conversation.
Yes.
Because Mike Luke with CSF does a phenomenal job with client relations. Like, his CSF stands for customer service first.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah. I never picked that up until he had taken us out to a luncheon, and he's like, yeah, that's what it actually stands for.
I love that.
So, he does a phenomenal job with that. And that just is part of why he's our recommendation. Again, alluding back to, he's not dishonest, and he's going to keep things cost effective for the companies and for you to, adjust for that.
Yes.
So again, very big importance. If you have, work that needs to be done, whether it's on your body, like you alluded to, or it's on, your house, your car, talk to your agent, whether that's me, whether you want to get a quote from me. Well, let's talk after your car's fixed.
Yes.
But absolutely, talk to the agents, talk to people, because like you said, I network constantly.
Yes.
I know a lot of different people for a lot of different things, some of which I would love to send them a referral, but I have no idea who would need them. I love those people to death, but there are some industries out there that are weird.
Yes. Yeah. And it's not maybe just industries, but there's a few bad apples that can make it difficult, to work with, or to, know that you have somebody that's honest, got your best interest at heart. So referrals, I couldn't plug that enough. It's so important to me.
I know. And here's a fun thing. If somebody's knocking on your door saying they want to get up on your roof to go take a look, ask them what networking group they belong to. That'll answer right there if they're from the neighborhood or not.
Yeah.
Because if they go, what are you talking about? Or I'm not a part of any. I would probably tell them to not go on your roof and tell them to casually go away.
Yes. Yeah.
And politely, you don't have to be rude unless they're being rude. But
yeah. Most communities, you have a provider or somebody who knows a provider that can assist you. So go with somebody who's got a good reputation.
Yeah. Just because somebody's beating on your door doesn't mean you have to let them do it. I promise you.
Yes.
So moving forward into our questions here, because, I'm really fortunate that you were able to carve time out of your day. I can't take up all of your day, unfortunately. But I am curious what you feel is the biggest advantage for a client that's working with independent agents. That's kind of an interesting question. That's actually came from you, fun enough. So I've never had a question that's been bounced back to me like, hey, let's use this.
Yeah.
So I'm excited about this. More questions.
Yes. Yeah. I really liked this question because I guess in my experience, I came from the captive side and I moved to the independent side. And so I have a passion for what we do, working with independent agents. Independent agents represent multiple carriers, and this allows them to find the best carrier and the best coverage. They're not just looking at rate, they're looking at all of the companies that they represent and the coverages provided, and they're building a package for that client. They get to know their clients, they build long-term relationships, and often independent agents are considered members or pillars of their community. So they take a holistic approach to insurance and risk management, and I believe in what that does for policyholders, for consumers. You do a full risk review, you get to know their needs, and you help educate. Because insurance is complex, and it's confusing. And I've been doing it for 15 years, and every day I learn something new.
I'm with you there. Yeah. I've only been doing it for a few years. It's every day there's something.
Something new. So I believe in the independent agency force, and I couldn't recommend going with an independent agent more. I mean, I believe in what we do.
Well, I appreciate here at United Insurance Agencies, we all appreciate that very much. Of course, it's always a pleasure to work with trusted, reputable companies that we get that opportunity to do so and have for years now. I also love how Cindy here in the office, she often alludes to when we're writing business for Farmers Mutual to be very specific about what we're doing and to be very methodical about who we're assigning to Farmers Mutual or giving a policy through. And she jokingly calls it our frontline underwriting, which I think is a great way to put that because if we are doing the correct part on our side of things, getting to know a client, getting to know what they need in their life and what coverages best fit them, that's part of that underwriting, so to speak, because if you tell me, well, my roof hasn't been replaced since 2009, I'm out of options for you, first of all. But second of all, Farmers Mutual is not going to be the right fit for that either.
Yes.
So
you get to know your carriers and your clients, and you find a niche that works. Because not every carrier is right for every client, and so you really, and that's how you build long-term relationships. Because if all of a sudden somebody isn't a fit for this carrier, you've got somebody else in the agency that you can put that person with, and keep them in-house.
Right.
And to me, that really leans into the relationship part of this business, which is so important, especially when we navigate the last few years and everyone's premiums are going up and there's lots of questions on what to do. Well, if I trust my insurance agent, then you can explain to me what's going on, why my premiums went up. You can offer suggestions or solutions if they're available. And I know that I'm taken care of. So it's peace of mind, which is really what insurance is at the end of the day, is peace of mind.
I was going to say, as it should be at the end of the day. But, that is, kind of funny that you mentioned that. I mean, we do get call-ins like, oh, hey, my premium shot up. We do remarket accounts. And that is part of that conversation, like you alluded to. Just, hey, if we're the people for you, we're the right fit. If we're not, we don't want to watch you go, but we're going to help you out as much as we can. But if we're not the right fit, we're not going to shoehorn you into something.
Yes, we don't want that. And here at Farmers Mutual, we really enjoy loyalty from a lot of our policyholders. We have clients that have been with us, 3 or 4 generations, and so we believe in loyalty and serving our policyholders, but. Sometimes you can't serve everybody.
Right.
So, and we want to keep the relationships that we have and build new relationships, but a big part of that is through the independent agents.
Absolutely. And I appreciate that mention. And of course, we are kind of towards the time of the show that I ask these burning personal questions and put you on the hot. I'm just kidding. I don't put anybody on the hot seat here, but I do ask a little bit of personal side of things. But before we flip that coin, I like to ask the person across from me, is there anything else that you'd like for the listeners at home to know about Farmers Mutual?
Oh, gosh.
Besides attending like a seminar or something, because it's super cool. But
I guess the only thing I would say is I believe in what we do. Insurance is so important to home ownership, to buying a car. We are there during some of the worst events in people's lives, if after a bad car accident or a kitchen fire or a tornado. And the insurance agents that you work with, the claims adjusters that you work with, the underwriters that you work with, we do this because we believe in what we do and we see value in it. And at Farmers Mutual, we really try and strive for excellent service, integrity, respect. We are from Nebraska, and I believe we have strong Nebraska values. And we want to set ourselves apart by being partners with you and navigating those tough events. And we train our adjusters to help you navigate those tough events. And everybody that I work with at Farmers Mutual has a passion for what we do. And I couldn't feel more blessed to work for such a great company and to work with great agents and to wake up every day and know that we're doing something important.
Absolutely. And I know there's a really good adage that I love about our industry, that we are your best friend on your worst day.
Oh, I love that. Yeah. That is so true. It's so true.
It's so true because, we're the first person you're calling if your house is on the ground.
Yes.
And it's not your I mean, you might call your family first, let them know you're okay.
Yeah.
Please do that.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
you know, we are one of the first calls that you'll get. Mm-hmm. So I think that that's such an important thing to keep in mind. Now, before we flip this coin, congratulations on 15 years. By the time listeners are hearing that, it should be right about that point of you celebrating. So if you happen to see Kylee, you better wish her a happy 15 years anniversary at Farmers Mutual. Now, flipping the side of the coin to our personal questions. They're so burning. Now, are you ready?
Yeah.
No, I'm just playing with you. Now, fall is here. It is starting to get that cool crispness in the air that a lot of people love. I'm a summer child at heart, unfortunately. So I love the heat. Yeah. I don't mind fall. Winter is no bueno.
Yeah.
But I'm curious, now that it's here, is there anything you look forward to in fall? Do you have like big trips that you like to do? Or maybe pumpkin patches?
Fall is my time of year.
Okay.
So August 31st, I took out my Halloween decorations and I put them up. And my son, my 2-year-old son, kept telling me, more, Mom. And my husband was like, how about we wait till October? I have to strike a balance because my son and I love Halloween. I bought him his Halloween costume last night.
Oh, fun.
My sister's getting married in October. And
so is mine, funny enough.
Oh, yeah. October 5th, homecoming.
I'm like 10, so yeah.
Yeah. So I'm really excited. Shout out to my sister and my future brother-in-law. Love you guys. So we had a mini bridal shower for her, and she got a little veil. Mm-hmm. And my son put it on and ran around the house like a ghost. Woo! So he's going to be a ghost this year.
I love it.
I'm so excited. And last night I bought him his costume and he chased me around the house.
Oh.
No, run, mommy, run. And so he is adorable. He is the light of my life. I'm lucky that I found an amazing husband and I have an amazing child. But Halloween and fall, that is my happy place. So we're going to go to, I think, 3 pumpkin patches this year.
Okay.
Roca, Vala, and then we want to go to Skinny Bones. I listened to your podcast, and I've driven by it a few times, and now I have to go to do the pig race.
Yeah.
Like, adults can do this? Yes, sign me up. So
it's so cool, and there's a lot there for the adult side of things, but it's still geared for family, which I think was such a cool concept that they pulled off.
Yes.
So absolutely recommend Skinny Bones. Fantastic place.
Yes.
Fall, awesome time of year as well.
Yes.
Again, I enjoy Halloween. It's one of my favorite holidays. It's always the flip of a switch, though.
Yeah.
Like Halloween Day, I see people pulling out the Christmas decorations.
Yes, right.
And I'm not that guy.
No. Target has their Christmas decorations out, and it's in the back corner, but I was like, no, I'm not ready for that. Yeah. Like, let's enjoy fall first.
Leave it in the back, please.
Yes.
Let me at least see the leaves fall off the tree.
Yes.
Like, please.
Yeah.
I'm glad we're on the same page about that. Now, if we can just get the rest of people.
Right. We just need a much longer fall and a little blip of winter. Again, Mother Nature, come to the table.
Yeah, just at least return an email. Like, come on. Love it. Now, of course, in Omaha, I jokingly talk to the businesses and joke with them that we're spoiled over here. Mm-hmm. Lincoln, I will also say, is a little bit spoiled. And when I say that, I don't mean, you're uppity, blah, blah, blah. No, I mean in the ways of food, entertainment, things to just go do. And we are so spoiled in our lovely 2 cities.
Yes.
I'm curious, what's your Mount Rushmore? You can either pick Omaha, Lincoln. I know the home office is in Lincoln, so you probably have more over there.
Yeah. I love zoos. Just always have. And we are fortunate enough to have, I think, the #1 zoo in the nation in Omaha. And then our little Henry Dorley Zoo, we can walk to, that's how close we live to it. We go there like every weekend, sometimes 3 times in a weekend. We'll go in the morning, take a nap, go in the afternoon. I love our children's zoo. It's perfect for my 2-year-old. And it's got tons of cats.
Yeah.
There's jaguars and cheetahs, and there's a cute little sand cat with giant ears. We have so much fun.
I've heard rumors that they're potentially bringing back the polar bears.
In Omaha?
Uh-huh.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I've heard rumors. I don't know if it's true or not. Take it with a grain of salt. I've heard some rumblings about it.
Yeah, that would be amazing. I love the Omaha Zoo.
Yeah, I remember when I was back in the day when I was a kid, like those were the exhibit to go see because they were doing the ball tricks with them. They were throwing pumpkins in there for them to smash. It was an awesome thing.
Yeah.
And I think I'm guessing they just got old, to be honest. I'm guessing they just got old and they never continued that exhibit for some reason. I never understood that one.
Yeah, but the Asian Highlands, they have that. That's new. Cool. That is so cool.
Yeah.
So we are so fortunate. I mean, that's not a day trip. That's like a weekend trip.
Oh, yeah. So. I actually tried to do it in a day.
No.
Mistake, big time. I think I probably got about 70% of it.
Yeah.
And it was like time to close.
Yeah.
And I started, I think, at like 11.
Yeah.
And we were exhausted.
It's so many have good food.
Good food, some affordable drinks. And, I love that they do like the little nighttime BYOB kind of adult night kind of thing for, a little getaway from the kids so we can enjoy the zoo again, which is so cool. I love the zoo. I've tried to get them on the podcast. So if you ever have a contact out there, listeners, you better let me know. Oh my gosh.
I vote. I would listen to that.
I was like, I would drop everything that week to have them on the podcast. Yeah. I would focus that episode that hard.
Yeah.
But no, maybe one day.
Yes, fingers crossed.
Now, outside the Children's Zoo in Lincoln and the Omaha's amazing zoo, any others on the Mount Rushmore there?
I'll also have to plug Lost in Fun in Lincoln.
I've never been.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, what is it?
It is like a mini amusement park for kids. They have a giant ball pit for toddlers. They have a jumping pillow, an arcade, and I don't know, there's like a Nerf ball fighting thing. I mean, it's
fun.
It is amazing. During the winter and the rainy days, it's a lifesaver. Yeah. It's safe. They're accommodating. It's clean. They have pizza. I mean, it's fantastic for families.
Great.
So.
Yeah, I was like, it sounds great for a rainy day activity. Like, hey, wintertime, rainy day, that sounds actually really fun.
Yeah.
No, I love that.
Yeah, and we asked my son, do you want to go play in the ball pit? And he says yes. And we know, like, that's where we're going, is Lost in Fun.
Yep.
So.
I always love the trick. You just tie a helium balloon onto them, let them go nuts, and you'll just follow the balloon.
Oh my gosh, I need to do that. That's genius.
Yep, you just tie it to the back belt.
Yeah. Yeah.
You've got a little tracker.
Then I always know, where's the red balloon?
Yep.
That's smart.
Oh, I love it. And I love this conversation. I'm so happy again that you were able to come onto the show again. We've had the distinct pleasure and opportunity to sit down with Kylee O'Brien, Regional Director of Agencies in Eastern Nebraska with Farmers Mutual. Kylee, anything else before we wrap up today's show? Anything you'd like to leave the listeners with?
No, just thank you for having me. This has been a blast.
I'm extremely grateful that you were able to come on. Thank you to Farmers Mutual for allowing you to come on the program. And of course, listeners, you are always appreciated. Thank you for tuning in each and every episode. We'll always have more right here on the UIA Trusted Partners Podcast.